This is a response to all those that have reached out to say that they feel imprisoned in some way. Naturally, that is going to be the case because there is two sort of realities. There is the reality of life just the way that it is, the natural reality, you could say, and that cannot be known, that cannot be understood, it cannot be really verbalized, can only really be pointed to. And then there is the artificial reality, which is really an artificial sense of self that has come about through first a kind of energetic sense of confinement. When you were young, this energetic sense of confinement sort of developed within the body. And then what gets sort of heaped on top of that is this kind of artificial sense of identity, which is all of the belief systems, the ideas of who you think you are, what culture imposes upon you to think that you are. And this only strengthens and fortifies and reinforces that sense of that energetic sense of confinement. And that energetic sense of confinement is this kind of sense of being isolated and separated from everything in a kind of state of like cosmic abandonment. And as soon as that is there, there is a sense of separation, there is a sense of lack. There is then the thought that you are in control as a personal, separate sense of self. And so you go seeking wholeness, you go seeking fulfillment, you go seeking something more and becoming something more. And you try to control and manipulate. And you think everything has a certain meaning to it. So you're trying to then understand the meaning. You're trying to understand the meaning of yourself or the meaning of life or the meaning of particular events. And it's that searching and that seeking that is very restless and it's very dissatisfying. And again, it only reinforces that sense of separation. So what comes along with that is a lot of distress, a lot of unhappiness, agony. So on the surface level, there's this wanting and seeking based on what you've been taught that you should want. But also underneath, at a deeper level, there is this kind of yearning to become one again, or to return to that oneness. Or you could say it is a yearning actually to be free from that artificial sense of self, that separate sense of self. Because essentially, the totality is already one. Everything is already unconditionally free. Everything is already fulfilled. There is already no meaning to anything, which leaves it completely open and free. There's already no control. The oneness of life is happening of its own accord. So there's a yearning for that. But then there's this surface level of trying to fulfill the desires and trying to run away from the fears. This is all the societal conditioning that's been heaped on top. An identity, a name, a race, a religion, an income bracket, a class, belief systems, religious belief systems, cultural belief systems, spiritual belief systems. So this artificial sense of self, then, its foundation is an energetic sense of confinement, of separation, but then built on top of that are all of these complex ideas. So naturally, there is a feeling of being imprisoned, built into the fabric of that artificial sense of self. It is imprisonment. And because it feels imprisoned, it then projects that imprisonment on everything else. Oh, I'm imprisoned because of this circumstance or this person or the world or life. But actually, the imprisonment is that seeming energetic sense of confinement. For you, for the one that feels they are that separate sense of self, you feel imprisoned. But in reality, in the natural reality, there is no prison. It's just an artificial sense, an artificial state. And then that artificial state, it looks for proof and evidence everywhere that it is imprisoned. And it reinforces that. And then it maybe takes actions that only seem to show that things seem to be imprisoned. Because that's what it's looking for. But really, in the natural reality, everything is already free, unconditionally free. But that cannot be known, that can't be understood. The artificial sense of self is a bubble that cannot see that. So it's confined to its own bubble, its own experience, because the natural reality is not an experience. So it has no way to get to that. The only way is when it is no more. Now, the kind of ironic thing about it is that actually the artificial sense of self is itself a mirage. Doesn't actually really exist. It only seems to exist. It's only the natural reality that is what is taking place as the laptop, taking place as a body, taking place as a sky, taking place as a thought or a feeling or an emotion, even taking place as an I or an artificial sense of self that feels it is suffering. But they are just appearances. They only seem to be that way. Just in the same way that there are really no waves in the ocean, what you call waves are just the ocean. So even the natural reality is only an appearance of emptiness, an appearance of nothing, an appearance of unconditional freedom, taking on the form of this, the form of that, taking place as this, taking place as that. So really what the artificial sense of self is actually looking for is already this. It's already this. It's already all that seems to be taking place. Because that taking place is freedom. Freedom is the sound, is the wind, is the laptop, is the feeling of anger or the feeling of happiness, is even the suffering. It's all of it. Any step, any movement, all directions are already this, already the wholeness, already the fullness, already the freedom. And this is what the artificial sense of self is looking for. But for some reason, it cannot see because it is in the way. It's in a bubble of its own experience. And so only when that bubble pops, or seems to pop, is freedom recognized.